Needs a bit more of a brush on it.
Right, so bill of materials. So when we've done our PCB, then normally what happens is we send the PCB Gerber files off to PCB manufacturer. They manufacture the board for us, and then they pass it on to their either another company or within the same building to the pick and place people. And the pick and place people will put their PCB through another series of machines that will actually place the components on it. Now, for them to know what components are needed, we supply them with a bill of materials. And the bill of material cross-references the ident on our boards with the component that we want to get placed on it. So a bill of materials is normally laid out in some specific way so that we can either purchase the components in mass or the company can purchase them for us. So if I show you an example of a bill of materials here, and we download this one, have a look at it. Okay, so this is a blank bill of materials form. What I'd expect to see here, for every single component that we put down, is a supplier, i.e. where we would like to buy the component from, the stock number, which is the stock number from the supplier, the part number, which is the manufacturer's part number. Obviously a supplier will show you lots of different parts from lots of different manufacturers. Description of the part, how much they cost, and the total cost. Now normally when you do a pick and place file or you deliver this for pick and place, you would also have to include the ident on there, which is the ident of the component it will match up with on your board. So let's take an example that we built a board with a resistor R1 and it's 100k. How do we fill this in? We will go to a selection of suppliers. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Big suppliers that we'll use in the UK include Farnell, RS Instrument, Mauser. So if I go to Farnell.com. So we want to buy a resistor, 100k, surface mount. That's all we know at the moment, yeah? So what I'm going to do in Farnell here is I'm going to type in here 100k resistor. Now, I know that I want a surface mount resistor, so I'm going to choose TFS&D resistors. This is very important. I can only going to put a component down that I can buy. Yeah? Because they'll list a load of components here. Some of them will be out of stock with a lead time on of 1 year. There's no point in me making my project to use a component that I can't get. So I will use this filter on the side to make sure it's in stock. That's my number one thing. So now we're looking at the components that I can actually buy. And I also need to take count of how many boards I want to make. If I'm making 10,000 boards and I've got 5 of these resistors, I need to buy 50,000 resistors. I need to make sure that that stock at 50,000 is available from that supplier. Otherwise, again, I've designed a board, I can't manufacture it. So in this case, I'm looking for a 100k resistor, a surface mount. Now the next thing that I need to worry about is what size of resistor, because the manufacturer, the pick and place people, are not going to do this for me. So I'm either going to supply the parts to them, or they're going to buy the parts for me. Either way, they need to buy exactly the right part. So in the case of me, I'm going to put down an 0603 resistor. So I come down here to the product range, and somewhere down here we'll have, in fact it's even easier if I just type it up here. If I type 0603, which is that standard code. Here we go, we look at chip MSC resistors here. We make sure that they're in stock. Here we go, make sure they're in stock. Got 166 products. Okay, so here I've got 100 kilo ohms, 0603, bestseller, 14,000 in stock. This is a good sign, yeah? And I can get a minimum order of 10. This is the next thing that you need to consider. If my board has only got one resistor and I only want to make one board, I don't want to buy 10 resistors. Okay, resistor, who really cares? It's such a small thing, but when you're looking at more expensive components, it does matter. So I need to look as well at that minimum order. When it comes to you doing your project, you'll have to submit a bill of material in this format so we can buy the parts so you can build your project. If you submit a part that has a minimum order of 100, we're not going to buy it. You need to find one that you can buy one of. If your project has got 10 of these components on and a minimum order of 10, fine. It's perfect, yeah? So in this case, there's a minimum order of 10. This one down here, 100K, 0603. It's 0.1%, so it's a high precision one. 62.5 milliwatts, it's going to fit me, and I can buy one off. Very expensive, but I can buy one off. So I'm going to look at this now. Okay, I've decided I want to buy this part. What I have here, I'm in Farnell. So I'm going to come along to my sheet here, and I'm going to say, right, I'm in Farnell. So I type Farnell in my supplier. Farnell stock code. This is the Farnell stock code, yeah? So when we look down here, you've got order code down here. This is the one I want. This is what, if the purchaser has to go to Farnell, this is the code that he'll type in to come exactly this part. So I'm going to take this code here and I'm going to add that to my stock number. Part number. This is the manufacturer's part number. As you can see up here, manufacturer's part number. If this supplier does not have this part that I want to buy, I can use that manufacturer's part number to cross-reference all the other suppliers. It's different to the supplier part number, yeah? So I'm going to put this manufacturer part number in here. Description. SMD chip resistor 100K, plus or minus 1%. Easiest thing to do, copy this, put it in. Yeah? Why not? Work smart, not hard. So put that in there. Okay, it's a little bit bigger than I would have liked, but you know, you can get the idea. So I'll stick that. I'm just going to reduce it just for the presentation here. Price each 0.44. So I try that in here. Quantity I want, let's say I want 2, so obviously then the total cost can be this times this. And I do that for every single component I need on my board. Obviously if I have 4 of these components, I don't list it 4 times, my quantity is 4, yeah? You'll need to, when you've chosen the project that you want to make, you will need to supply this bill of material in enough time so that we can procure all the components you need for your project. So that when the PCB comes back, your components are also delivered and you can solder them together, yeah? If there's any problems with this, where the purchasing team can't find the chips that you need or can't find because the information is not correct or it's not obtainable, there's not going to be enough time for them to come and find whoever it is that submitted this form at that point to say, we need to fix this, can you do that? That's not really their job. It's your job to make sure that these parts are obtainable and you've given them as much information as you can to make their job easy. Yeah? Other things that you need to add up here is your name and the student ID. And it also points out that suppliers can be either Farnell or Rapid Electronics. We can also do RS and Mauser, but if we can stick with Farnell and Rapid Electronics, then what will happen is everybody will submit their bill of materials, we'll aggregate the orders and just make it all easier to obtain and get the best price. So that's the bill of materials. And also what will happen is